G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Stuff Ukraine War Update for the 30th of October 2025. The month's almost over, the fighting isn't. Troop rotations probably in about 2 weeks, but there's been some major developments, including talks of ceasefire. But before I get into all that and why I say there's nearly 2 million dead, first, let me introduce myself. I think you know who I am. The author, David Applegate, author of the books Boyhood Arcade, Power Games, Into the Osmound, and The Erotic Tales from the Empire, Part 1. Part 2's out soon. I got into this to study war, to write better stories. But before I continue, I'd like to thank my supporters and invite you to support me through the links in my link tree. And believe it or not, I've actually wanted this war to end for some time. And I've actually called for this war repeatedly to end. I don't support either side. A lot of people that's upset. Completely a lot of people. Some people thought I was pro-Ukrainian. Some people thought I was pro-Russian. Right now, Ukraine is under heavy attack from Russian missiles. People have taken shelter. Last missile reported about an hour ago of time of recording that they were inside Metro Station. Fighting continues in many areas, but the media continues to lie. However, Russia has hit gas and other power facilities, both in Kiev and other areas, including a gas plant in the town of Buryansk, which was a spectacular explosion by all accounts, but no current images of the fireball. But diplomatic efforts continue to end this war. Now, we do have some missile, like this is a energy facility, according to Reuters, which was gutted after Russian missile hit the building and brought down the midsection completely. The explosion was like a shockwave. This is actual Kiev rail center. Of course, there's also fighting on the front line. Speculation is that it's to end within a year. It won't be immediate, but diplomatic efforts have ramped up. But as you can see, that and that are all the same pictures of the same building. Now, there's images of huge crisp lights, basically drones and missiles leaving streaks across Ukraine from Russian missiles, air-launched and ground-launched and ship-launched, all through here. Lighting up Ukraine about one every hour, hitting various targets here in western Ukraine. Kiev and Sumy has been fighting on the northern border. Little bit of movement on the front lines. Now Kupiansk is seized, and now you're going to wonder, how are the Ukrainian troops trapped? Can't they just leave? Well, they've got to pass the Russians, but they're not allowed to leave. Ukraine has made that clear. Russia can't advance through here as due to all the mines. There are troops all the way through here. Russia hasn't broken through the Ukrainian lines here, but they control the crossroads. So there's a lot of troops trapped on this side. They can't go south. This is all flooded. And they're walking straight into the Russians. They could try and cross the river, but the temperatures, they'll freeze to death. Apparently bridges are out, blown by the Ukrainians to stop the Russians. Russian advance. But they're not allowed to leave. If they do, they come under fire from their own men. So they're pretty much hostages of the Russian army right now. But they are encircled in some areas. Right, technically. It's a possibility they could probably make their way across here somehow. Who knows what will happen? But the Russians have made significant advances in the Lyman area, north of Lyman. As you can see, they've broken through the Ukrainian lines here, heading for this to take this and this, as I said, to cut this road from the supply depots in the north, to cut this off, which will, and this, a breakthrough here, will sever between Seversk and the Lyman area here, cutting this all off, trapping more Ukrainians. Again, they're not allowed to retreat, so their fate is sealed. Just like those trapped in the forest here at Chavez Yard, they're not allowed to move. The Russians have tried to push them out before. They still come in by road, but they're stuck. Once they're in, they're trapped. The Russians continue to make gains south of Konsk, and as you can see, Russians have hit the road into town. On the other side, on the east, they control parts of Konsk now. They've broken through the Ukrainian lines. Here, they've taken more territory, retaken lost territory here at Rod, gained territory here near Nova. They've made infiltrations into Myriad. Vosk, they've made significant gains. They've cut the rail line, cut the road. This is where the Ukrainians are trapped. Now they could try and head north, but again, their only option is denied them, and that is to follow up the rail line to about here and then backtrack into Hein, but they'll be fired upon for desertion. Allegedly, we don't have confirmation whether or not that's happened, but the Ukrainians are allegedly trapped. Now we have significant gains across the front line if you add them all up, but individually they are small. But as you can see, the possibility still remains that the Russians are going to hit this circle of fortresses. They're going to hit probably here, break the bubble, so to speak, and then lay siege to here. While they flank here, they've taken territory all the way up to town so they can start flanking them, pushing them up to here, pushing them up to here, while they push here, push them out, because the middle will fall. And the usual tit for tats at Kherson. Ukraine has struck Russia with long-range strikes, but again, most of Ukraine's attempts are falling flat. Now, according to Russia, they've floated the idea of Western and Ukrainian journalists visiting Pokrovsk in Ukraine and Kupiansk, right here, declaring a ceasefire, hoping that the Ukrainians will honour the agreement and allow. You can see, look how much territory they've taken in Pokrovsk. They've taken over half the town now in less than a day. They only crossed here yesterday. Look at that. They broke the Ukrainian lines. They've encircled them here. They're trapped. They're all in range. They get out of their buildings, they're in range of the Russians. Those who haven't been, most of them are trapped in buildings. They've only got a scattered troops up here. They'll allow Western media and Ukrainian media to enter POC. To demonstrate the strength and the pursuit of truth, to basically tell them the truth, situation on the ground. There's no reinforcements. The Russians have cut the roads. They control the roads to the east, west. You probably, they know if you try to hoof it north to Roddy, you're walking into the Russians. Try to reinforce Mirion, the Russians are there. You try to go around to Heisk, you're not allowed to leave the area. That's desertion. You'll come under fire. Meanwhile, President Trump is talking to President Xi as we speak. He's trying to get his counterpart Xi to cut or limit the funds to Russia, to put pressure to say, come to ceasefire, come to the negotiating table. Both sides could say, walk away with a victory. Ukraine could say, we stopped the Russians. The Russians could say, we rescued the ethnic Russians of Ukraine. End of story, end of the war. How might the US react, though? What is happening? Well, Kupiansk and Pavlovsk has dealt a critical blow to the Zelensky regime. Zelensky has responded by racing to Ursula von der Leyen. He was seen with Ursula wearing he's wearing lifts. Now, Europe, of course, has said nothing. Why is Pavlovsk critical? It's about a political and psychological blow. It's about taking away a huge military town, a huge safe zone for the Ukrainian army to rest, to eat, to recover, to huge stockpile of arms either destroyed or captured. Thousands of troops are trapped. Now, Ukraine is going to lose everything east of the Dnieper River if they continue, according to Russian experts. What do they mean? Well, they just start coming up here, cutting them off, all of that off. That's what they're talking about, a breakthrough. Well, they hold the Ukrainians here, half their army here, an entire army, twice the size of the Ukrainian forces, just come up here to Dnieper, all the way up, cutting everything off just down this line, leaving only this into here. In the meantime, the Russians will break through the lines. If they make another breakthrough, come up here like I said they would, and come through here. That cuts off all but this road. That's bulk of the Ukrainian army no longer able to supply itself. You're not going to get a whole convoy through here without being harassed or attacked by Russian missiles and drones. The fewer roads you have, the less options you have, the more likelihood of losing vehicles. Air supplies, Russian long-range drones, missiles, SAMs. What happened with the Americans? They thought, oh yeah, we'll just resupply from air, but the SA-6 just kept shooting down the slow-moving transports. Same thing. Same thing will happen in Ukraine. Doesn't matter what they do. They can't airdrop enough to the front line with the bulk of their army trapped and unable to meet up, because you'll have them trapped in parcels. 20, 20, 20, 20. And they'll only have 20% of the army able to defend the rest of Ukraine. Russian reinforcements will just walk all the way through, down here, through here. Just basically, the Ukrainian army will be trapped in a few towns. It's game over. It's literally Russia sitting there with their arms folded, saying to to their opponent, check in 6 moves. Will you accept the defeat? They're just not just pointing out by getting the journalists to come in and say, checkmate in 6 moves. While Trump is saying, well, we'll give you both an out. I think this is the best thing right now. But of course, it is a complex problem in that both Zelensky can't just declare. He has to get Parliament. He has to get a vote. He has to get the judges. He has to get the monkey off his back. Europe has to accept the loss because Europe is trying to get the US to commit troops. We know this. Why is Provos crucial? It's psychological. Okay? This is a huge military intelligence operation. This is a huge area of troops, hospitals, supply depots, Ford batteries that would provide both artillery and missile support to the front line. They no longer support the front line. They are the front line. This was supposed to be the third line of defense, not the front line. This was supposed to be the second line of defense, not the front line. The Russians were supposed to be contained here, but they broke through. And now they've broken through again in multiple areas, and they're flanking the Ukrainians. But the huge blow is the Russians saying the quiet out part out loud, which confirms what Trump said all along. Okay? The West fostered this regime, is responsible for nearly 2 million Ukrainian deaths. Trump vindicated. Unfortunately, whether you're pro-Ukrainian or not, that's not the point. But if you're pro-Ukrainian, why are you supporting the death of more Ukrainians? You want to destroy Ukraine. That's what I think. I think you're just a sociopath who doesn't care. Okay, you just want to see more dead Russians so that you can feel good about yourself, thinking that somehow is going to make your life better. Well, it isn't. Because the Russians couldn't interfere with your elections. What, is Putin so powerful that he can take on the United States? You mean Chuck Schumer is so weak that Putin, with the resources of less than Italy, Texas is a bigger economy than Russia. Okay? Alberta, Texas, California, they're all bigger than Russia. You saying you're afraid of Putin? That's what you're really saying when you... So Democrats are shaking in their boots at Putin. So you're that weak, right? You're that weak. There you go. The West has nearly 2 million Ukrainian deaths. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree, description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. Please stop the war. Ukraine doesn't have to die. We can get a ceasefire, cease fighting, cease both sides. No more territory has to be fought. No more cities have to fall. No more civilians have to be displaced. Ukraine isn't getting its territories back. They were never really rightfully theirs in the first place. And they mistreated the people of the Donbass, which sparked the war in the first place. Without the coup in 2014 by Barack Obama, none of this would have happened. Millions would be alive today if it wasn't for Barack Obama. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye for now.